For the longest while, the Arca Plasmor was my favorite shotgun in Warframe. And why wouldn't it be? It had phenomenal AoE clear, it was easy to use, it packed one hell of a punch, and it was the space shotgun. It was different than anything else that I used before. But time moves on and things change. Today I want to find out if the Arca Plasmor can still pack a punch. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into this primary weapon. As per the usual, I got a couple of builds lined up. Something cheap, something affordable, something that most players will be able to build, and we even got a quote-unquote endgame setup with prime mods and a couple of Rivens. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a new player friendly approach. I like to take my time and explain a lot of the aspects that veteran players should already be accustomed to. So in case you're a veteran and you already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Arca Plasmor. But before that, this video is brought to you by me and all the fantastic people that choose to support the content. Thank you guys so much. Want to get access to fantastic perks such as loyalty badges, custom wallpapers, and the option to vote on what I work on next? That's how this review happened, by the way. Check the link in the cards right now or click on the join button, which is next to the subscription button. You can support the channel via Patreon, YouTube membership, or even Twitch subs. Links are in the description down below. We now return to our regularly scheduled program. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that just a couple of free shots. The Arca Plasmor is a projectile-based weapon which will be firing this 3 meter wide projectile. As you can see, AoE damage galore, my friends, because this is one of the staples of the Arca Plasmor. Not only are you getting a pretty big projectile, but the projectile also comes with a default of 3 meters worth of body punch through. And body punch through can be a little bit on the tricky side to understand. It goes through bodies such as enemies, but it's not gonna go through walls, objects, or anything of the sort. So bear that one in mind. You also get a guaranteed impact proc if your targets are within 15 meters of yourself. So as you can see, I can perma crowd control these targets, so in the case of the Arca Plasmor, having that guaranteed impact proc is a godsend if you're gonna be fighting high level targets. And then again, you might have an immortal Inaros, so there you go, there's that. One more thing about these projectiles, sometimes, upon contact, they look like they're exploding in an AoE, well, explosion. That's just a visual effect. It has no damage component whatsoever. And of course, if you are not within 15 meters of your target, something like this, you're no longer gonna be getting that guaranteed impact proc. And that's pretty much it when it comes to functionality. We can complain about usability issues when it comes to the Arca Plasmor. Magazine of only 10 and the ammo reserves are not exactly high either. But on the other hand, unless you build a stupid amount of fire rate, you're never really gonna have any sorts of ammo issues when it comes to the Arca Plasmor. The fire rate is a bit on the low side and the reload on the lengthy side, and that's pretty much it when it comes to functionality and usability. Let's have a closer look at stats. Mod capacity 60 out of 60, and if your Arca Plasmor has only 30 out of 30, jump into actions and install the Auto King Catalyst, which will be doubling your mod capacity. This is a necessary step for basically any weapon that you want to get the most out of. 20 plat this one costs, or you can farm it from Nightwave, or you can get a blueprint from the Daily Sortie if you're quote-unquote lucky, and you're also gonna have to format this weapon about 2 to 3 times depending on the build that you're gonna be going for. What format per se will depend on what kind of mods you have and what kind of build you're going for. For example, if you got Prime Point Blank, obviously you gotta have at least 1 V on the weapon, and so on and so forth. Weapon Excellence mod slot, I gotta talk about this one right now. The best choice from my humble point of view is gonna be Fatal Acceleration. This one will be increasing your projectile flight speed. Normally the Plasmor has a drop off between 10 and 20 meters, and that's a pretty ugly drop off. It means it loses damage from 10 meters all the way to 20 meters. With this one you're gonna be getting 14 to 28, also it's a lot easier to hit your targets. Not that it was difficult before, so bear that one in mind. Accuracy 9.1, there's one mod which I want to talk about, and this one is called Vicious Spread. 90% damage, which is the same amount as point blank, but you also get 60% spread. If I was to tap on some multi-shot on this build with Hell's Chamber and Vigilante armaments, you're gonna see the effect of that 60% spread. Have a look at the sky. Sometimes the projectile goes completely off the crosshairs. Normally this wouldn't be much of a issue because the projectile will still be hitting a lot of targets, but if you're in a tight corridor, something like this, and your projectile catches the edge, it's not gonna go through and it's not gonna deal any sorts of damage, so bear that one in mind. It's not a bad mod to go for, but from my point of view you got plenty of other better options than Vicious Spread. Critical chance for a shotgun 22% base is definitely not bad, but here comes the problem. Blunderbuss. Only 90% critical chance, and the developer simply refuses to give us a Prime version because it would be some kind of a big deal. There you go. You have one more option with Laser Sight, 120% critical chance when aiming for 9 seconds. This one is an event-only mod, and you can get it from the Acolyte event, which rolls around once or twice a year. If not from the trade chat, my friends, you're looking at 10 plat, give or take, or at least that's the price on PC. Don't know you guys on console how much you need to pay for this one. Essentially, this is the Argon scope of shotguns. Now let's talk about critical multiplier, 1.6x by default. My friends, this is below average, a lot below average, and take a look at Ravage. I didn't mean to make that rhyme. Anyway, 60% critical damage, 2.6x, which is again below average. You do have an additional option, however, for Ravage, you got the Prime version, 110% critical damage, bumping it up to 3.4. Not only that, but if you're not comfortable with using the normal version of Ravage, because let's be honest, it is underpowered, you can go for Shrapnel Shot instead, or additionally, 99% critical damage when aiming for 9 seconds, but this one is an on-kill effect, so bear that one in mind. Fall off, we talked about fire rate of 1.1, which is super low, a magazine of 10, a multi-shot of 1 by default, so a single projectile, noise alarming, and a reload of 2.8 seconds. And in the past, I used to say that, listen, the reload keeps the weapon in check from a subjective point of view, but nowadays, it's way too high. It's simply way too high as it is. Riven Dispo, 1 out of 5. Yeah. Now, my friends, the Arca Plasmor is used to be an extremely popular weapon because it was fun, it was satisfying, it was easy to use. And you know what, when it came like to super high level targets, I'm talking about level 200 and plus, you wouldn't really take the Plasmor against them, you would take other weapons, so it was a fun and efficient weapon for lower levels, and I mean up until level 120, 130, something like that. Status chance 28%, which is solid, but 28% if I mix in the fire rate and the fact that I'm firing a single projectile by default and it doesn't look as solid anymore. Trigger semi, and when it comes to the damage, you got radiation damage by default. Let me reset that. 600 damage. Now that is a pretty huge amount of damage for a single projectile. And radiation damage will be dealing bonus damage to armor, which is alloy armor. So essentially bombards or, for example, Eidolon joints. You can use it versus Eidolons, but please do not. This is not the ideal weapon to go Eidolon hunting with. Now you should do Scarlet Spear anyway, so there's that. Now my friends, let's jump into a standard build. And we got damage with point blank, multi-shot with health chamber, vigilante armaments, critical chance, critical damage combo between laser sight and shrapnel shot. Now we went for the more uncomfy mods, but more powerful mods simply for the sake of proving a point. Currently in Warframe, the most powerful elemental combo is viral damage, and we got the 60-60 viral mods, Frigid Blast and Toxic Barrage. And we also got the 60-60 heat mod, Scattering Inferno. Right now in Warframe, the most powerful single element is heat. It's going to be removing some of that armor from the corrupted heavy goons, and it also stacks up to delay acceptable amount of damage. As for the weapon excellence mod slot, we went with Fatal Acceleration, of course. Now this is not a quote-unquote final build, this is a control build, if you will, just to see if it's worth or not going for crit on the Arca Plasmor, and we're going to be modifying our build based on that one. It's a control build, if you will. Level 120 corrupted heavy goons, and let's see how the weapon performs. We're gonna go for straight up headshots. Laser sight is up, but we need to get shrapnel shot up as well so we can get that beautiful, beautiful critical damage. But as you can see, my friends, I mean, wow. The performance is nowhere near what it used to be on this beautiful weapon. You still got the AoE portion for the Plasmor, but this is just simply sad in comparison to what it could do before. And if you want to thank somebody for this, you can thank the status chance and status effect changes. Oh, quickly, before my buff goes away. Critical damage buff, yay, here we go. Nah, man, nah. It's just simply weak, and that's all there is to it. This one's glorious weapon, but perhaps the build is to blame. Let's try something else, shall we? Well, I see a problem, Lazur. You went for critical chance and you didn't go for hunter munitions. That's the problem. You think so? Okay, fine. Let's go hunter munitions. Perhaps that's a thing. Let's go with hunter munitions. We got critical chance, critical damage, laser sight. Let's go with direct critical damage. On this one, we're gonna go with Ravage. Again, if you got Prime, use the Prime versions for the time being. We're gonna go like so. We should incorporate, though, a bit more critical chance if possible. So let's try to get more crit on the weapon. And we're gonna have to incorporate blunderbuss this time. So we're gonna take off Frigid Blast, we're gonna go like so, and we're gonna make vital damage on it with one of the 90 mods, like so. And more critical damage, of course, with blunderbuss, and we also got laser sight. That way we get more slashes out of hunter munitions. And we're gonna have to use this instead of vigilante armaments. So basically we got a whole lot of crit now, laser sight and blunderbuss. We got hunter munitions, we still got vital with one of the 60 and one of the 90s, and critical damage from Ravage. Can we use, I don't think we can use the prime version right now, because I would if I could. Oh, there we go. For the sake of proving a point, we're gonna be using prime Ravage instead. Level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goons as before. Go for a headshot. We're gonna hit the target till about 50%, then watch the slashes deal damage? I wonder. There we go, finally. 3 slashes, 2 vital procs, and as you can see, it does deal a whole lot more damage than before. Before, we couldn't even get close to killing the target with an entire magazine, but now with just 2 free shots and a little bit of luck, you can get a kill on a Corrupted Heavy Gunner. Let's repeat that one more time, just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. We're gonna empty the entire magazine. Take a look. Not even needed to empty an entire magazine. This is the power right now of hunter munitions. The most overpowered primary mod in Warframe. Essentially, even with a garbage critical chance, such as this one, and a subpar critical damage multiplier like 1.6x, you still get better performance with freaking hunter munitions on the weapon. And of course, Vital will be serving to bump up the value of those slash procs. So bear that one in mind. Alright, we already know that this build is a lot more powerful than before, than the initial one that we used, so you can go for something like this. But let's try a couple of different builds as well, because the performance of the weapon, even like so, it's pretty lackluster, let's be honest here. What else can we do? What if we drop the whole idea of critical chance and critical damage instead? And focus entirely on status chance and status procs, because at the end of the day you can say something like, listen, the crit stats on the Arca Plasmor are simply not worth it. So let's get rid of Laser Sight, Blunderbuss, Prime Ravage, and the Chilling Grasp. In our case, in the case of Corrupted Heavy Goons, instead of Vital, we're going to be building Corrosive, because that one should yield better results. So let's build Corrosive with the 60/60 mods, Toxic Barrage, and Shell Shock. I was trying to avoid recommending this one. You can farm it from the mission Elgar on the planet Eris, find all the free secret caches, then upon extraction you got about a 5% chance at this one or High Voltage. You will need eventually both of them, but if you see better bring the 60/60 electricity mods, make sure you pick up a copy of each. What else should we go for? More damage, more multi-shot, right? Well, we got all the multi-shot we can when we put on Vigilante Armaments, mixed in together with Hell's Chamber. Hunter Munitions goes, and we're gonna go for these two 60/60 mods. No critical chance, no critical damage whatsoever. Instead, what we're going to be doing is also adding a little bit of heat to the weapon with Scattering Inferno or with Blaze. Now, if you go with Blaze, Blaze adds a whole lot of damage to the weapon, but Scattering Inferno also provides you with some very nice status chance. So bear that one in mind. When it comes to Corrosive, I'm even going to be using the Prime Charge Shell in this case. If you don't have this one, simply use the normal version, but again, we are trying to prove a point, we are trying to show what kind of performance you can get out of this weapon, so we're gonna go like so. And the last mod, in our case, we're gonna go with one additional 90 mod, like so. We got 17,000, wow. Total damage on the projectile, 4,275 will be Corrosive. And we also got a status chance of 78.4%. We got Heat, we got Rad, we got Corrosive, and we're gonna try out the weapon like so. Same 120, Corrupted Heavy Goons as before. Straight for headshots. I got heat procs, I got status procs, I got corrosive procs, but still my performance for the most part is rather lackluster. It's not fantastic. It's simply not, because the Arca Plasmor is no longer that powerful of a weapon. Don't misunderstand, you still get the AoE portion, which is a big deal if you consider damage per second, okay? It will depend on how many targets you're gonna be hitting, but it's true, it's nowhere near what it used to be. You can go for something like this as well, my friends, if you dislike hunter munitions like I dislike hunter munitions, because I think hate is too much of a strong word. So there you go. You got heat procs, you got rad procs, and you got your corrosive procs as well. Keep in mind that the IPS rule is gone from Warframe, not that it would affect this weapon because it doesn't have any IPS whatsoever. So it's pretty simple to proc the element that you're looking for. And that's the kind of performance you can expect. There will be a difference between the prime version of Charge Shell and the normal version of Charge Shell, but think about it like 3%, 4%, something like that. Not anything too fantastic. That's pretty much it for standard builds. I mean, the last thing you could do is maybe go for prime point blank instead of the normal point blank. And in this case, it's gonna make a huge difference because basically it will apply to Toxic Barrage, Shell Shock, Prime Charge Shell, basically all of these mods. Okay, so you get 23.8 thousand total damage per projectile. We're gonna try it like this as well. And then we're gonna be talking about Riven mods for the Arca Plasmor. I know I'm taking my time because I used to love this weapon. So there you go, I'm giving the treatment it deserves. The performance with prime point blank will be a whole lot better than before. As you can see, getting a kill within a single magazine is not really that big of a problem. You can get a kill in about 7 shells, something like that. It depends on the procs that you're going to be getting. This would be a standard build that I recommend to you guys, although keep in mind that Viral is still the best elemental combo because it will be performing very well in most situations, most circumstances. Corrosive is performing better right now simply because I'm shooting Corrupted Heavy Gunners, which are equipped with Ferrite Armor, and Ferrite Armor will be taking 75% extra damage from Corrosive. And I think that's pretty much it. Time to talk about Rivens. Riven disposition 1 out of 5. Dude, are you kidding me? It's not even worth it. And you know what? You're right. I gotta agree with that. It's not really worth going for an Arca Plasmor Riven. Now I got 2 Rivens for this puppy. We got an Arca Plasmor Visican Damage Multi-Shot and minus ammo max. Now this one is a loaner from a friend. Thank you very much, Zach. And of the 2 Rivens that I do have, this is objectively speaking the more powerful of the 2. But this one, my friends, this one is mine. Legitimately mine. The one that I bought 2 years ago, something like that, when the Arca Plasmor had a Riven disposition of 3 out of 5, and it was an unrolled one for 350 plat, which I scrounged up and saved. And all of those 72 rolls are my blood, sweat, and tears. So when I do reviews on Riven disposition changes, and I might seem a little bit discompassionate about it, trust me, I know your pain better than most. Now, let's talk about the actual Riven build itself. We're going to be using the more powerful Riven, damage multi-shot minus ammo maximum, and this is a straight up damage build with 37,000 damage per projectile. We got corrosive on the weapon, as much corrosive as we could, and we also got the 60-60 heat mod for more status chance, and of course heat, because well, heat is strong. So there you go. We're going to be testing the weapon out like this, and then I'm going to be making my old critical chance build. The problem with my Riven, even though it has critical chance, it has minus status duration, which is not ideal for Hunter Mumu, so screw Hunter Mumu. 2, 3, 4, take a look at that, a whole lot better than before. And then, again, this is just Riven disposition of 1, my friends. One more thing which I forgot to mention about the Arca Plasmor's functionality. When you destroy a weapon, when you kill them, they're gonna vaporize. And vaporizing an enemy might cause your Necros in your team to be a little bit discontent with you, because it will not allow them to desecrate. So bear that one in mind. Even with a Riven, the performance of the Arca Plasmor is not exactly fantastic, but it is a whole lot better than before. Given the Riven disposition, however, of 1 out of 5, I still believe it's not really worth it right now getting a Riven for this weapon. Let's wait for the disposition to climb, or at least let's wait for a Vandal version. I would love to see a Vandal version or perhaps a Lich version. We're not gonna see it from the Kuva Leeches necessarily because those are Grenier weapons, but we know we're gonna be getting a Lich version for the Corpus, and that would be a prime time to get a new version for the Arca Plasmor, because as it is now, it's not exactly all that powerful. One more thing which I do want to do, because I want to pay my respects to all the fallen Rivens, including my very own. So one more time, my friends, for critical chance and critical damage with the Arca Plasmor Visicron. We're gonna need Prime Ravage though, so we're gonna go like so, and you know what we could need? More critical chance. More is better, yes, well, in this case not necessarily, but we're gonna go like this and like this. Now we got laser sight on the weapon, or we should have laser sight on the weapon. The critical chance is gonna go to something like 60% when laser sight is up 60 something percent, and the critical multiplier is 3.6x. One more time, Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120. Go for a headshot. Maximum fire rate. Hey, I managed to get a kill with a single magazine, and that is absolutely fantastic. You know what? For me, that is more than enough. No king gets to rule forever, that's the honest truth, and I still think that the Arca Plasmor is worth building and worth using when it comes to lower level content. If you want easy clear of level 50s, 60s, Corpus, Infested, even Grenier up until level 70s, you can go for the Arca Plasmor. It's still a weapon that's worth experiencing, if not anything else. But if you are used to the old Arca Plasmor, which was basically a powerhouse, mostly a powerhouse, then well, that time unfortunately is gone now. And now, my friends, it's finally time for Warframe buffs, and this time we're not gonna be going for Lady Mirage Prime, we're gonna be going for Lord Harrow. And he's got corrosive projection, such a huge surprise. Yes, I know, I'm sorry. This is basically the meta right now when you're fighting heavily armored targets. But my friends, this is just an aura, okay? So if your build incorporates growing power or power donation or I don't know, something like rejuvenation, simply go for your favorite aura. You don't necessarily need to go for this one. You can also use Shotgun Amp, 18% extra damage. I never recommended this aura simply because it's only 18%, but it should be said that shotguns have higher levels of base damage compared to basically any other weapon. Again, corrosive projection is meta when it comes to heavily armored targets. Now let's talk about Arcanes. We're gonna go with Arcane Avenger R5 on damage, 21% chance for plus 45% critical chance for 12 seconds. Now normally if I used to go with Harrow, I didn't really need Avenger, but unfortunately I can no longer double stack Arcanes. Before I would say, listen, double stack Rage, 180% damage to primary weapons for 24 seconds, but I can no longer double stack, so in this case we're gonna go with Avenger and Rage. One more thing, since I know I'm going to be getting my critical chance from Harrow, I made a couple of changes to the weapon build. I removed all the critical chance because it's pointless right now, and we're also using the damage multi-shot Riven instead. Now, let's unpause the targets. We also got shrapnel shot on the weapon, by the way, as well. Another 99% critical damage, level 150, and we're gonna unpause them so they can hit me and I can get my buffs. Another buff that you can get for basically any primary weapon is the Little Sentinel. On your Little Sentinel's weapon, simply use all the 4 Vigilante mods and you're gonna be getting yourself 20% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons, which I have right now. Harrow is a fantastic frame, but unfortunately he's not really appreciated because you're never gonna get a single goddamn thanks for saving anybody's life. So, there you go. But he is one outstanding Warframe. Take a look at that. Absolutely glorious numbers. Unfortunately, we cannot get a one-shot, but mostly a two-shot, and we're gonna absolutely vaporize these level 150 corrupted heavy goons. It's a bit problematic to stay alive as Harrow when facing a pack such as this, but you can do it if you're a little bit creative and all whatnot. Now, my friends, it's time for some very difficult conclusions, or perhaps some very difficult conclusions for me, because I used to love this weapon. The Arca Plasmor is not a bad weapon, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's simply not as powerful as it used to be because of the status chance changes, status mechanics, and status effect changes. But it's still a fantastic weapon to clear out low level content, something like level 50, 60s Grenier, or even level 100 plus Corpus or Infested. For the most part. It's still a great weapon. I would still recommend you build it and experience it because you don't really have anything that is quite like this. You do have the Phantasma, however, and that one still packs a greater punch than the Arca Plasmor. Link in the cards right now if you want to see a build on that one. And with that, my friends, as always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any sorts of feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. But if you want to have a larger impact on what reviews I do and when, and also get access to a whole bunch of other cool perks, sign up for channel membership. Don't know what that's all about? Link in the cards right now. I'll catch you guys in the next one.